So I was talking about the marker interface, right? So in Java, right, basically marker interface are serializable interface and clonable interface, and I think a remote interface. Okay, but most popular are serializable. Okay, so marker interface. We can also call it marker, blank, tagged. Okay, these all three are same. So same term we can use for. So marker interface, blank interface, or tag interface. So these are the interface which doesn't have any implementation. It's simply straightforward. How I defined sample two, right? So it's simply blank. Okay, nothing was there. But what is the use of that, right? So the use of that, there are predefined marker interface, which is serializable and clonable. Okay, we'll learn about that when we learn the respective packages and all. So what is the use of serializable? What is the use of clonable? But right now you remember a marker interface or the interface doesn't have implementation. Then what is the use of that? So if any class, let us assume if you are having any class which implement this interface, right? When compiler compile that class, so what happened? Compiler know about that marker interface. So compiler add a certain it's append a certain piece of code to your generated class file. So in that case, a compiler provide a specific or a special implementation for those interfaces. So basically, it's like a tag, right? So let us assume when we are going into a 31st gen party and all. So what happened? They give you a tag, right? Does tag contain anything? Nothing. So, but what happened? Inside the club, anywhere we are roaming and anywhere you try to have something, have some food, right? Based on your tag, you have some access, some what we call, you can access to the food lounge, you can access to the dance floor and all, right? So tag is nothing for you, but for the club, they know exactly what that tag means. Similarly, this serializable and clonable doesn't have implementation, but compiler and JVM, they know about that. So when they encounter that, okay, this class is have implemented serializable, or this class is have implemented clonable, so they will allow you to do serialization. They will allow you to do a clone, right? So that is the basic of marker interface, and this is the most asked question for 3 to 5 year experience Java developer. Sometimes it will ask to fresher as well. What is marker interface? So they will say, okay, marker interface doesn't have implemented. Can you tell me a name of the marker interface? Yes, there is serializable and clonable. If there is no implementation, how people, what is the use of that? So you say that for us there is no implementation, but compiler know about that. So compiler used to add a special implementation for whenever it is encountered that serializable and clonable interface implemented in a class. Clear to you all? Okay. So usually what happen? Let us assume,
Uh, yeah,
yeah,
just I have a doubt. Like, can we have some custom marker interface?
custom marker interface. If you tell me, like you are saying that, can I define a
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
marker
But when,
interface. But
okay, so when you define, right? So in
Mhm.
your logic, let us assume you are writing the
Mhm.
code, right? In your logic, you have to provide a special implementation. If you are not providing, it can only help you to maintain a hierarchy, inheritance hierarchy, nothing else.
Okay,
Understand?
okay.
Because
Yeah, yeah, got it.
JVM saying compiler is adding extra code for this serializable and clonable. So when it's counter, okay, this class implemented serializable, it it's add a certain piece of code. When I teach you serializable, I will give you that example how it's if you see the class size, what and all, it's get added and all over there in class file. Okay, but right now, when most of the time people ask this question, can I create my own market interface? Yes, you can create your own market interface, but from where you will provide a special implementation, right? This when you create, that is also marker. Predefined is also marker interface. The only difference these two have, a predefined marker interface. Let us assume if you implement a predefined marker interface, legible and clonable, compiler will add a extra piece of code to your class, right? But when you define, compiler doesn't know about that, right? You know about that. So you have to give implementation for yours, right? Let assume,
Okay.
okay, let assume what I did. I called 10 people, 10 guests to my home, right? Okay. Then what I did, like this 10 guests belong to a different state, right? So for X state, I have provided what do we call? I have prepared a special dishes. For Y state, I have prepared a special dishes. For Z state, I have prepared a special dishes. So it's work like a tag, right? It doesn't have any implementation, but based on that, I can identify, right? So if you create a market interface Indian, and if you create all five classes A, B, C, and they all implement Indian interface, so you can say that okay, they all belong to these all classes belong to Indian tag, right? And then you can American and XYZ, right? Whatever you want, you can create. So tagging, if you create your own market interface in tagging, it will help you. Other than that, no use until you provide any specific implementation. Okay. So when you code when you write a Spring Boot and all, right? When you learn a Spring Boot, we'll use this. Okay, blank marker interface, and based on that, I will write a logic. I will demonstrate that as well. Okay. So marker interface and difference between abstract and interface. This question I will ask on Wednesday to you all. Okay, in an interview. Like I will take all, you all will join. I will ask question, like I will unmute one person, I will ask questions. So like that we'll have a test on Wednesday. Okay, no class on Wednesday. Thursday onwards we'll have a regular classes of new packages and all. Okay, tomorrow we'll have class, day after tomorrow, and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 4 days you will get for preparation. You have to go through the videos, you have to cover all of this thing, and then we'll have a mock test kind of thing, and then we'll proceed further. Okay. Okay. Now, inner classes. I am not going into the depth of inner classes because, frankly speaking, I think only once or twice I have worked almost 8.5 years and have only used for once or twice. Okay, maybe 3 times, and that is not major. So we have to know about that, but not in depth. Okay. So basic thing, what is inner classes? So when you define a class within a class, right? We call it nested class also. How we have nested loop, right? Inside a loop, we'll define another loop, or a nested loop. Similarly, inside a class, when you define another class, we call it inner class. So inner class can be a multiple type, right? So type based on what? Type based on where you are declaring it, right? How variable? When you declare a variable, instance levels become instance variable. When you declare variable with the static keyword, it become static variable. When you declare that variable inside a method, it become local variable, right? Clear this thing, right? Similarly, when you define a class within a class directly, it will call as a instance inner class. When you use a static keyword, it call static inner class. When you use local keyword, sorry, when you define inside a method, let us assume if you are having a class, and then inside that class you are having a method. Inside the method, if you define a class, you call it local inner class. So when you define a class inside a block, inside a method, inside a constructor, we call it local inner class. Anonymous inner class, when it doesn't have a name to the class, we call it anonymous inner class. Clear? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question arises, why, like most the interviewer will not ask you, right, how many types of inner classes I have. They will ask you two questions. What is inner class? So you can answer. When you define a class inside a class, you know as inner class. Okay. Okay. What is the use of that? So you say simply you have to say there's not major use that I have faced because you might be a 4 year, 5, 6 year. But what I know is it help in encapsulation. Okay. It will help in logical grouping. Okay. It will help in accessing the enclosing classes and simplify the code. How it will simplify the code? For right now, it's making, like when you define a class inside a class, the code look complex, right? But when you're going with the application, big applications and all, so you can logically group those classes, right? So in that way it will help. Okay. Okay. We can access a private variable also with the help of inner class object. Clear? So that and all we'll see. Okay. So first we'll see instance inner class. So how we'll define an instance inner class? So when inner class, what is the use of that? When inner class need to access to the outer class instance. So when you want to define an inner class which is going to access the outer class object, in that case you will go with the instance inner class. So what is instance inner class? So I have two variables. I have two classes, the class A and class B. Clear to you all? This is visual, right? So I have class A and class B. Class A is having a private property. Class B is having a default method. I can make it public also, no issue. Which is printing this A. So now only two things you have to know. What is why and how to create object. If you know how to create object, later you can work. You can if somewhere in code, if you join any company or working in any company and they have created an inner class object, by seeing the code you can understand what exactly happening. So today I will teach how to create object and what is inner classes and all. So first, instance inner class, how will define? I have a outer class, I have a inner class. Clear? Inside the inner class I have a method, inside outer class. How I'll create an object? There are two ways to create an object of this class B, which is inner class. The first, create the outer class object, which is A. I have created object of A. A obj equal to new A. Clear? Okay. Then take the outer class name dot inner class name, the variable name that you want to create for inner class, and then this. The first you created the object of outer class, that dot new and then inner class constructor, and like that you can create an object, and then with the help of that object you can access method display, and likewise you can access a private variable also, because private variable access is inside a class. I am accessing inside a class, so that is fine. So this is the first way to create an object. Second way to create an object, take outer class name, take a inner class name, then create an object, give an object name, then outer class instance, invoke outer class constructor with the new keyword, invoke inner class constructor with the new keyword, and you will have an object, and with that out b dot display you can call. Clear here? You all are able to understand this, right?
Yeah.
Kritika, Ponita?
Yeah, I can. I started in the middle. It's okay.
Yeah. So basic thing, see, from this whatever, right, from inner class, okay, what I want you guys to understand, what is inner classes, how to create object, that's it, nothing more. Okay, so that much is enough. So instance inner class, how to define, how to create object, clear. So we'll move to static inner class. Okay, so now as we are moving to static inner class, simple thing, it's like a instance inner class only thing that it will get declared with the static keyword. Okay, so if you see here, it's having a outer class A, it's having a inner class B, right? What is different? I have used static. In instance I have not used static. Everything is same. I'm just printing here. So we'll see what is static inner class. So when we use static inner class, when you don't want to access outer classes, any property of outer classes, so in that case you will go with a static inner class. Okay, what is the use of that? Mostly it will use for utility. Utility means that, let us assume, if we are having any common implementation which we are going to use throughout the application, so you can go with this static inner class. Okay, a static inner class cannot access non-static member of outer class. It can only access static member of outer class. Clear to you all? So What is static inner class? With the static keyword, you will declare a inner class known as static inner class. A static nested class also you can call it. What is the use? Use is you can access all the static member of outer class in static inner class. So that is the only use, and it can also use as a utility. Okay. Okay. So now my basic funda is to make you guys to make understand how to create object of a static inner class. So I have A and B. Okay. So this is a single way. Take outer class name, take a inner class name, obj. Okay, I have created obj, object of static inner class, and new a. Okay, new a. I'm not invoking constructor here. I'm just writing new a dot a constructor of b. Clear to you all? And then I'm calling it. You guys have to make a note by go. You guys go through the video, make a note, remember it. Okay. Now local inner class. So local inner class, mostly what happen, like people will get confused. Okay, what is local inner class? Nothing. So let's assume if you are having a class called A. Let me define a class called A. Class A. Okay, which have method void display. Okay, let assume I am displaying something. Now. Okay, sorry, let me clean this up. Okay, so I have created a class. Okay, so I have a method called power mode. I have a method called display. Let me add one more method. Okay, this method is going to have a inner class. So I can give inner class method name. Okay, you can give any name. It's not like I have to give inner class method. I can give m1 also. Okay, I just for example. Okay, so let me give m1. Oh, 1 second, man. Just give m1. Otherwise, you guys will think I have to give void m1. I have given m1, right? Okay. Now my method name is m1. So what I said, a local inner class, when we can create a inner class, local inner class inside a method, right? We are having a class inside a method. If you declare a class, that class will called as a local inner class. So what is the method name m1? It doesn't take any argument. I will create a class b here, class b, and I will end this here. Okay. Okay. Now inside this class, I will have a method called void. Already you have display, so let me take so. Okay, and I have this system.out.println again, and just me so abhi. Clear? So what I did, I have declared, okay, inside a method. Okay, now for local inner class, how to create object? Local inner class object you have to create inside this one only. Okay, so now I have class b inside a method m1, right? So I have closed the class here. Still the method scope, right? This method scope is open. Okay, so I have closed this method. Okay, and I have closed this one. 1 second, let me. So I have closed this so method. I have closed this class B, right? And then here only I have to create a class B object. So B obj equal to new B. Okay, now obj dot show. Okay, and then I will close. So now see, class local inner class, I have a class A which have method called display. Inside that I have a method called m1. Inside the method I have declared a class called B which have a method called C. So, and inside the m1 only, right, I have created an object of class B and I'm calling the method so, right? So in this way you can create a local inner class. Okay, so let us assume anywhere if you have a main class and you want to invoke that one. Okay, so you can, how you will invoke? So you can just create a outer class object obj equal to new a, right? Now we'll do obj dot, what is the method name? M1, right? So when I call M1, what happened? This will get executed, b object will created, and so method will get called, and it will print this line. So clear to you all?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Okay. So now the only thing you have to remember, a local inner class can only be, how, what about local variable? It can only access inside that scope, right? Similarly, local inner class also, it can only access within method scope, because I have defined in method scope. Okay, clear? So now we have only one anonymous inner class. Some of the company used to ask this one. Okay, so when you define a class without specifying the name, okay, it's called a anonymous inner. It's a very, very important question for interview. They might ask you this simple question and they will move on, right? So we'll say, when you don't want to define a name to a class, okay, and when you define a class without a name, it's called an anonymous inner class. Okay, now what is the use of that? When you want to declare and initialize a class at the same time, right? In that scenario also you can use anonymous inner class. Okay, where and all we can use anonymous, like a local inner class, right? I can place inside a method. Instance inner class I can place inside instance level. For static also I can use the static keyword. What about anonymous? So anonymous inner class you can place anywhere inside class, inside blocks, methods, or constructors. So you can place inside class, inside blocks, inside method, inside constructor. Clear? Okay. So it's always remember to create, like to create an anonymous inner class, right? You always have to use constructor, sorry, interface or abstract class. Okay. So how you can use it? Let's see. So let me take example. I have a class called A. Because why I'm taking A, B? Because all the examples I've given with A and B. I have class A, which have method called void display. Okay. And I close this one. I just write system.out.println and I write A. Okay. You can write inside A or something over there, whatever you want to write. I have a class B. Okay. Yeah. It's a void, so display I will add here. So system.out.println B. Okay. So now I have class A with display method, class B void, right? Okay. Now let me go to the, 1 second. Let me go to the main. Let me create a main class, which is public class. Main example. Inside that, we'll have public static void main. Okay. And str whatever it is. I do not want to focus on that. And then curly braces open. Let me close the curly braces here. one for method, one for class. Inside that or one method. Okay. Now, how to create an anonymous inner class? Okay. Now is see. I've created A. Okay. Object of A is A equal to new A. And after that, you guys have to remember, you have to open these curly braces. Now I'm creating a class which doesn't have name. Okay, what I'm doing, A is having a method called display, you remember, right? So I'm just overriding display. Okay, I have overridden this display, this one. It's having A, it's printing A. Okay, let me print here system dot out dot println. I will say anonymous inner class A. Okay, I'm just adding that part. Okay, and now I will close this method code close. Remember this is the syntax. Okay, so now it's need a class. So I have created, this is the object of our A class. But what about this? This is anonymous inner class implementation. It doesn't have name, but it's have implementation. Okay, let me create same thing with B. Let me delete this one. So I have a B. I have a B equal to new B. Okay. So now what is happening? Anonymous inner class I'm creating, which is extending this B. Okay. So what I will do, I will override a method called so. System dot out dot println. So in so what I'm printing, what is this? B, right? So I will write here anonymous inner class B. Clear? Okay. Okay. So now this so is closed. Let me close this class. Okay. Now I have two objects, A and B. Okay, this object belong to which one? It's for your understanding, it seems like it's belong to A and this belong to B, right? So when I call A dot display or B dot so what output will get? Any guess? You guys are able to understand, right?
Oh, yeah.
Basic, I will, like, if need it, I will explain again. Okay, no issue. So remember, it's anonymous inner class is a bit confusing. Okay, only thing, if someone want you to create an anonymous inner class, simply first create a class A or B, anything, whatever class you want to create. You go and create the object like this. At the end, you start with curly braces and you can do whatever you want to do it here. Okay, inside this, and then with the help of this reference, you can call whatever method you define inside this, right? You can call that method. I'm doing that only. So I'm calling display and so this display, when I call, it will call this one. It will print AICA.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. When I call this one B, so it will print AICB.
LCD.
Okay. Because I have overridden, I'm assigning the anonymous inner class object to A reference. Understand? So in that way, if anyone want you to create, right? Let assume if someone say, can you create, forget about this. Now you guys, when you go through the video, you'll understand. Okay, I'm just simply saying, if someone want, okay, can you demonstrate the use of anonymous inner class? Can you create an anonymous? Yes, I can create. Take any class X. Okay, X have any method or not, I don't care. Okay, you can have one method XYZ. They just ask you to create an anonymous inner class, right? Now anywhere, sorry, somewhere to get take X obj new x, curly braces started, curly braces end. Okay, and whatever you want to, whatever you want to do here, you can do that, right? Usually you can declare a method, you can do some implementation, right? So this is, and this class doesn't have name. What is the name of this class? No name, right? For this starting curly braces, ending curly braces, this is called an anonymous inner class. Okay, so what is the use of that?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, yeah, tell me.
Yeah. Basically, there is no name for that class, right? But we can access that class using this object, right?
Yes.
But that object was, but using that object, we cannot access the class yet.
No, without that object you cannot access, and with help of that reference you can access. That is the one thing, right? Basically,
Yeah.
basically where you will get confused, like when you supposed to use this one, right? What is the use of this one, right?
Yeah.
So let assume I have an interface. Okay, let assume I have an interface called A. Okay, which interface is having, let assume interface is having method called add and subtract. Okay, now you just want to give an implementation, you don't want to create a class, you just want to give an implementation and try to perform certain things and just want to move on, you don't want to have a concrete class. Okay, see, where it will actually help, I will tell you. So where it will doesn't, when you, let assume when you create a concrete class, right, the class will create a strong reference into the memory. When you go anonymous in a class, once it's executed, it will be, what we call, it will be deleted by the garbage collector immediately. Okay, because it's anonymous, it doesn't uh, keep a strong reference. Okay, so that is the thing. I will just give an example with the interface, then you guys will understand. Okay, let assume what I said initially, basic use of that too. Let assume you are having an interface of classes and all. If you want to override their methods and you want to provide certain implementation for that, in that case, mostly people use it. Okay, so let assume I have an interface. You've seen an example with the class, right? So you guys are getting confused because for a class we can create an object and all, right? So you are getting confused. So I'm giving an example with the interface and we'll see how I'm doing that one. Okay, so I have an interface called, sorry, not all interface always start with a small letter. Interface, I'm giving A. Okay, interface A, let have void display method. Okay, it's abstract method. So I just want to, now I don't have implementation for this, right? To override this one, I need a class, right? Without class, I cannot override. So let me do that. So I have created A, I have created obj, reference of A, right? New A. Same. You remember what I did with this A class? Same thing I'm doing. Okay, clear? I will, one second, let me connect the charger. Only 3 minutes left. Oh my God. My screen is visible to you all?
No, your screen is not visible
Yeah,
on.
my screen got locked. Okay. So where I was? 1 second. Let's go now. Okay. So now A is an interface, right? Which is having a method called display, right? Let me override that. So you know, whenever you override that method, in subclass you always have a public, right? Public keyword. So public void display and whatever you want to write here. system. I am just print my name. Window. Right? Okay. So I've created obj. Now what I will do with the help of obj, I will say, what is the method name? Display. Display. So what it will print? It will print. Now we know. Right? Clear to you all?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
clear.
Yeah.
The basic thing is that basic thing in the first example, why you guys got confused? Because you see, like, you have a class called A and B, right? Which have those method. And then I'm creating with A, so it seems like I'm having a reference and I'm creating a object, and with the object I'm accessing that one. It's not like that. Okay. So see here example. Okay. Here it's an interface. We cannot create an object of interface. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a reference of interface. This new A is not object of A. It's a anonymous inner class implementation from here to here. And then I'm just calling it. Do I define any class? No. I use a class keyword? No. But I have give implementation to this method, right? Clear to you all? Okay. What question come from anonymous inner class? So when we read Java 8, right, there is a concept